Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about the poetic play. What we are going to talk about? The poetic play. The poetic play. Poetic drama is not merely a drama which is written in verse, because prose may also be its effective medium. It is in fact a blending of the poetic and dramatic elements in a fruitful union. Here, poetry is an integral part of the play. Poetry is the integral part of the play. Twinned with plot, character and their interplay, not an element of isolated beauty or lyricism for its own sake, as is the case with splendid lyricism in some parts of Marlowe's Dr. Faustus. For example, at the same time, the dramatic element must be capable of sustaining the poetic grace and intensity. It means its themes and characters should be poetically convinced and should be larger than the average humanity and humdrum monotony of daily life. The passions and emotions permitting them should be naturally productive of the poetic expression, calculating to lift the mind of the spectator above the sphere of our ordinary joys and sorrows and send the penetrating gaze of his inner vision far down below the surface of life to the very springs of human action and human drives. Moreover, drama is intimately bound up with the stage condition, and the historical skill its practitioners must combine mastery over the poetic resources with a real understanding of the peculiar needs of modes of the dramatic representation in the theatre. The history of the poetic drama in England is littered with the frozen anatomies of poetic plays written by the distinguished poets of 19th century. 19th century. Who failed to subordinate poetry to the general dramatic spirit and adapt the plays to the conditions and requirement of the usage. Poetic drama reached its glorious peak in Elizabethan England when it in Elizabethan period, when the general conditions of society and richness of language combined with the whole nation's insatiable craving for amusement and edification, and the writer's intimacy with the theatre to make the stage a national institution. But the glory did not last long, and its decline was precipitated by the victory of Puritan fanaticism, which sounded its death knell when it was revived again in the Restoration era. Restoration era. The condition had changed, and the heroic tragedy, its rhyming couplet, was simply the fury and the violence of its ghost. A sort of artificial respiration was given to it is the blank verse tragedies which followed. They, however, failed to sustain its life, and with one flash of life, its outways Venice preserved, it gave up the ghost. The 19th century efforts by the great poets were splendid failures on the big commercial stage, for which the writers themselves were partly to blame because they could not rise above the slavish imitation and adaptation of the Elizabethan blank verse tragedy to reorient the poetic drama to change conditions of the society and the taste of sensibility of the spectator. This was condition when the present century reopened. This was the condition when the present century opened with the prospect of great dramatic renaissance. This is all about the poetic play. Now we will understand the dramatic monologue on the next video. Thank you for watching. That's all. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe this channel.